My name is Tracy. I'm a program manager in the Center for Global Education. This Italy semester program is one of the programs that I manage. So I've been on site. I haven't led students on site, but I've visited and I've seen all of the facilities, all the study center, student apartments and everything. So I'm really happy to share with you today more information about this program. And I'm glad that we're joined by 4 of our alum who were in Rome last fall. Let's dive right in. If anybody has any questions at any point, feel free to raise your hand, or you can jot it down and we'll have time at the end for questions too. So this program is located in Rome, which is pretty big as far as cities go. The population is about 3 million, and we partner with an institution there called CAPA. They are who runs the study center. So they'll have classes at the study center in Rome. We'll get more into that in a bit. It's a fall semester program. So the semester begins at the end of August and it goes until mid-December. The dates pretty much align with what a typical fall semester would be on campus. And anytime our alum have anything to contribute, feel free to chime in too. This is a bit of what the study center looks like. So it is just a normal building. It looks like a normal building in Rome. This one right here on the corner. The study center occupies floors 2 and 3 of this building. This is the entrance right here. So it's not like a typical university campus as you would expect in the US. It's just a building in the city of Rome where you'll be having your classes. Most of your classes will be partly in this building and mostly outside of this building where you'll be on site visiting different museums and churches and things around the city for that hands-on learning. Here's more of what those classrooms look like. So there is a reception desk at the study center. There are about 4 or 5 classrooms total in the study center. So at any given time, there could be 4 classes happening. Could you tell us more about who the classmates are at the study center?
Yeah, basically you'll have some classes with like just St. Ben's and St. John's students from your group, but a lot of the times, like when we were there, we were with people from out east and also California. I think it was Providence University and then Cal Poly. So a lot of our classes, we maybe have like us 4 Bennies and Johnnies, and then it would be predominantly people from other schools too, but they were all our same age.
Yep, so it'll be other study abroad students. You won't have Italian classmates. All of your classes besides Italian will be in English. That Italian course is not required, but it's an option for you to take. So all classes taught in English with other study abroad students from the US. All right, and more about Elaine. Could you tell us about your course and
Yeah, okay, so I teach in the art department at St. Ben's and St. John's, and I have been here since 1998. I have led many study abroad programs before. I led when we had the Rome program partnered with the Athens program. I led that twice. I've been to Cannes with students for 1 semester, London with students twice, and then I've led several short-term programs to Scotland, which is where I'm originally from. I am so excited to go back to Rome for a full semester. Both times when we were there previously, the overwhelming feeling among everybody was, I wish this were a full semester. And here we have a full semester, which is really exciting. The course that I will teach, which all of you who end up coming will be required to take, will be a study abroad seminar. It will carry the CSDS designation as well as the EX, is that right, Tracy?
NGO.
And so essentially what we'll be doing is kind of using Rome, the city of Rome as our laboratory, and we will be kind of spending a lot of time out and about, walking, looking, seeing, and responding and processing through drawing. And we'll be working in sketchbooks, we'll be working, but we'll also be doing some reading and some, a lot of kind of talking through our ideas as well. But essentially, Rome is such a perfect lab because we are able to see history, and we're able to see the ancient world, and then we're able to see through layers of time, through to the Renaissance, to the modern and contemporary world, through the architecture and the art that we have access to there. And so we'll use that as the ground from which to build a picture of a sort of socio-economic, political environment, and how we can kind of use art and architecture as a means of kind of understanding a place. And we'll be processing all of that through looking and seeing through drawing. And so there is a course that happens in Italy called the Italian Sketchbook course, which I think Maggie will tell you about soon. While there may be some overlap in the sense that you will be using a sketchbook and you will be looking and you will be drawing on site, it will be quite different because it's going to be much more concerned with a lot of, sort of philosophical and conceptual ideas, as well as and using drawing as a means of processing that, as opposed to the Roman sketchbook course, which is much more about sort of learning to draw and drawing as a way of seeing. I think that's about all that I've got for now.
Can I ask a question? What if I have terrible drawing skills? How will I do in your class?
Oh, well, I love it when people have terrible drawing skills. Because that's the whole point. So drawing, like anything, so all of you business, econ, accounting majors are probably really good with numbers. And that's because you've understood a numerical language all your life. I'm really bad with numbers. And I understood a visual language early in life. And what I have learned is that drawing, like anything, is a skill. Just like learning to count, learning to read, learning to write, it is a skill that's acquired through time and practice. And we'll be doing a lot of practicing. And more importantly, because of the way that we'll be using drawing really as a way to facilitate our deep looking, we're not going to be evaluating the drawings in terms of how much this drawing looks like this building, but rather, how much did I notice about this drawing when I had to sit down in front of it and look long enough to be able to draw? And what did I notice? Those are the things that we'll be thinking about.
I think I could take that course.
I think you could too, Tracy.
All right, good. So Elaine's course will be the one required course that all St. Vincent and St. John students have to take on this program. It's your study abroad seminar, and it's worth 4 credits. Beyond that, your schedule is free for you to choose your electives. There is an optional but highly recommended Italian course, and most students will take the very beginning level because they haven't had any experience with Italian before. And our alum will share that that's probably one of their most favorite classes that they took in Rome. Beyond that, all of the electives, most of them are 3 credits each, so you'll have 3 other electives. Or you would take the internship, which is a 6-credit option, and have 2 electives in addition to that. So if I could call on our alum to share what courses they took and maybe particularly enjoyed.
Yeah, so all of us took the Italian course, which ended up being, I think, all our favorite, or maybe not ours, but the teacher was super fun, and like we just kind of like go about the day, and she was always checking in, so it was like a good person to have as a resource and as a professor. And then some of us took a food and culture class, so like a chef would come in and she'd cook dishes and it'd be paired with a drink, and like you would compare them, and you'd also like learn about how it's all processed. And I really liked that course.
The ins and outs of like how wine is actually made, which is actually really cool. And then we get to sample like red wines, white wines, rosés, all that fun stuff.
And then we all took a theology class, so that covered our upper theology requirement when we got back. And then I think I was the only one here that took the intro to marketing class. And it was okay. Yeah. It was a lot of work. And I'm not a marketing major, so everything was new. Also, a couple of us took a psychology minor. We took a positive psychology class. That was super interesting. Like, if you're interested in psychology, that's a great option. It's really easy, and like, just like new perspectives. And then I don't think any of you took it, was called Rome Across the Ages. It's an art history class about Roman history. So we would go to like all the sites across Rome, into like the Colosseum, into the Vatican, we went to like the Trevi Fountain, all the big sites, and got to know like the history, like the timeline, the artists, all that stuff.
And similarly to that, like Elaine was talking about, so the Roman sketchbook class is the other arts class you can take there. It's pretty similar where the professor takes you to different sites around Italy, but he really tried to take us to like the hidden gems that not a lot of people knew about. So I think there were maybe 2 weeks when we were actually in the classroom. Every other week we were out on site somewhere at a different hidden gem, and basically he'd be like, okay, pick a spot, you have 3 hours, draw what you see. It was really fun. So, and then we presented our sketchbooks at the end of the semester to different art faculty in Rome, and we had a little like ceremony where we picked like first, second, and third place, and that was really fun.
Yeah, and also to add on to that, like for our theology class that we all took, I think besides like the first class, we weren't in the classroom unless it was our final.
Mhm.
So we spent a lot of time out in people. Yeah. Also, the Italian class, we did a couple field trips. It was mostly in the classroom, but everyone's like scared to take another language because you do have language requirements like at CSPSG with English, and you might be like, why do I have to do it? Definitely recommend it. It was my favorite class, probably. Also very easy to learn. Like Italian was very easy, especially if you know like Spanish or something. Like I didn't know any Spanish beforehand. Yeah.
What did you enjoy about the class? And also, is the class taught in like only Italian or?
No, it was like 50-50. Like our professor could speak English and like actually really well too. It was just like learning the basics because you'll look like less of a tourist and then you kind of like be more respected by Italians because they don't always love Americans, especially like huge touristy people. You're less likely to get like pickpocketed if you can speak Italian more than just English and stuff also. So, yeah.
All right, the full course listing can be found on the global portal. Was there another question? On the global portal, if you find the Italy brochure in the academics tab, the full course listing is there, and you can see which courses count for which integrations curriculum requirements. So there's courses that fulfill human experience, artistic expression, theological integrations, and social world is also available. And there are certain courses that are pre-approved for majors or minors. So GBUS has a couple courses, accounting finance has a course that's pre-approved, environmental studies has a course that's pre-approved, and psychology. So be sure to check out those course listings to see what fits in with your degree works to help you stay on track for your graduation requirements. So here is an example of what an Italian class was doing when I was visiting. So these students were out in a market and they had an assignment to buy products of a certain color using their Italian. And so they had to use their numbers. The professor gave them a certain amount of euros. They had to successfully buy produce at the market, and then they got to take the produce home and cook it for dinner that evening. So that's an example of what you can expect as an Italian class. A typical class would be pretty practical like that. Other times you'll be in the classroom as is seen down below. All of the classrooms have either big screens or big projectors, so it's pretty similar to what you have on campus here.
Should I say it? Oh,
Yes.
actually, no, never mind. I don't have a question because you were just about to talk about it in the
Oh,
next slide.
All right, perfect.
Mhm.
Yeah, so this program also has an internship option. It's a 6-credit internship in which you would be completing 20 hours on site per week at a place, at a small business, smaller mid-sized business that you're placed with. So this is a really incredible opportunity. Only or less than 1% of college students do an internship abroad, so you'd really be setting yourself apart as you're looking to get a job or get into grad school after St. Ben's and St. John's. So this opportunity exists. And it would be, you would have an application process that you would start already in the spring. So after you're accepted into the program here on campus, we would start you with the application process with CAPA, our partner. You would have to submit a resume, your cover letter, your statement of interest, and they would pair you with a career coach. You'd have a series of interviews to see sort of what your interests are, what are you studying, what are you hoping to do professionally after you graduate, and they would match you with a company in Rome where you could apply those interests and skill sets. And then at the end of the semester, you get this NACE competency report. So that's just like a breakdown of all your career readiness skills that you can take to a future employer in an interview and say, I did all these things in Rome. Look how cool I am. Please hire me. In a nutshell, right? But it's a big time commitment, but it's also an incredible opportunity for professional development. So I didn't mention classes. Normally would be Monday through Thursday. You wouldn't have class on Fridays. If you do this internship option, you're likely needing to work on Fridays in order to fulfill your full time commitment to that company. If the internship sounds like it's too much of a requirement and too much for you to commit to, there is also this business consulting course, which is named business consulting, but it's open to everybody beyond business majors too. And it could apply to a variety of different majors. So this course is more team-based, more project-based. You'd be in a classroom for what would be a typical course load amount of hours, so you wouldn't be dedicating 20 hours per week like the internship, but you'd be working in teams. You'd be working to help local business, so they've worked in Rome with a local jeweler, and not just any jeweler. They've like supplied jewelry for Netflix shows. I forget who exactly the jeweler is, but they're kind of a big deal. And so they present this problem to the teams in the class. All of the teams are dedicated to a certain area of business. So it could be marketing, it could be operations, finance, something. Each team has a specific aspect of the business that they're looking at. They are working on this project throughout the entire semester. They have to come up with a pitch, a solution for this business to help improve their practices. All the teams present their pitch at the end, and then there's a prize. I don't know exactly what it is, but I've heard it's significant. And then, yeah, there's a prize for the winner. So anyway, this is a good alternative for someone who might be interested in an internship, but just can't commit to that time. So.
Is that class new this year?
It was new last year. Yeah, but so good opportunity for hands-on experience and working in teams in a project-based setting. Okay.
Nancy, before you move on to housing, can I ask a question about so classes, there are 3 credits. How do those transfer back to St. John's and St. Ben's?
Good question. They will transfer back as 3 credits. If you are taking a course to fulfill an integrations curriculum requirement, like your TI requirement, it will fulfill the full requirement, so you won't need to take like a random 1 credit to fulfill your full AETIHE. But otherwise, they'll transfer back as 3 credits. So if it's like the final class that you need to fulfill a major, to complete your major, sometimes we've worked with department chairs on an individual basis to waive the final credit, or we find a solution because there are 3 credits.
Thank you. And then the next question had to do with the internship. How many credits is that for?
6.
6. Okay, so that's effectively 2 classes. So then students would only sign up for 2 other courses.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Great. Okay. Here's a bit about housing. So in Rome, our students live in apartments. You have equipped cooking facilities, shared bedroom, and shared bathrooms. Each apartment is set up slightly differently, and we have different apartments each year, so we can't guarantee exactly what the setup will be, but you will have a kitchen to share, a refrigerator to share, a washing machine, but no dryer. They are not common in Rome, so you'll air dry your clothes. There's no meals included in this program, so you'll be buying your own meals as well. So that would either be going to the grocery store and cooking at home or going out to a restaurant to have your meals out. Yeah, I'm gonna call on our alum to share a bit about what their housing experience was like and what they did for cooking.
So Rochelle and I were in an apartment and then these two were in another apartment. We had 3 apartments of 7 people. So there were 14 girls and 7 guys on our program, so we had like apartments of 7, 7 and 7. So yeah, they were all relatively close to one another. I think they were all within what, like 10 minutes of a walk, not even. So yeah, and I would say for cooking, like for me, I definitely bought a lot of my food, and what's really nice about the food in Italy is there's like no preservatives, there's no chemicals, so like stuff I would buy that day, I would need to either use like that day or the next day, or else it would go bad, so that is something to prepare for, just because everything is so fresh, but that is a really good thing, and it is a little bit cheaper too, when you buy it that way.
Yeah, so Natalie and I actually, so it's like rooms of 2, 2, 3, so Natalie and I shared a room with another girl. And Natalie and I cooked together quite a bit, and we'd go to like the markets, cause the food is really cheap at the markets, and you can get a lot for your money. And I think it was like a 10-minute walk to the nearest grocery store.
And then, our apartment was the farthest away, so we would take, like the underground metro system to get to class, but it was like a 15-minute walk to their apartment as well, so not too far.
Yeah, and we walked about 15 minutes to the CEA center, so it wasn't too bad.
You'll all have a transportation pass for the full semester too, so you can ride buses and the metro with that pass. Something that Betty's and Johnny's have done in the past, like these two pictured in the middle, their apartment of Johnny's had communal meals every single night, which is amazing. So they had a schedule of cooking, and then they would all sit down together and eat a meal for that evening. So if you are incredibly organized and on the ball like they were, you can do that and probably save a lot of money. But everybody comes up with their own schedule and preferences. Here's some more pictures of the housing. So these are just some mini fridges in one of the girls' apartments, the laundry, the washing machine, which they also had to create a schedule for. Yeah,
You get to like pick your roommate, or do they kind of choose it for you?
you'll get to indicate your preferences.
Okay.
Yep, so they take that into consideration of who you want to room with. Yep. Here's some more. So you could be up to a 60-minute commute. That's walking to the CA center. But again, you do have a transportation pass, so you can easily hop on the metro. As you heard, none of our students have been that far. It just could be up to that far away. This is something to a typical apartment, what it might look like. So 2 beds with a bathroom attached, toilet of the day, which I don't think our students become too fond of, but if you do dare to try the BA, it's life-changing. I encourage you all to try it. Yeah, questions about housing? There is internet at both the study center and in the apartments. So here's a bit about group excursions. You'll have included already within your program fee some excursions. And so some of these will be day trips, some of them will be overnight trips. One will be down to Campania Pompeii. One will be up to Florence. One will be to Subiaco. That is an excursion that's exclusive to CSB and SJ students. And then there will be another day trip that is in a location that's to be determined. But here's a bit about Campania Pompeii. You'll see Mount Vesuvius. Tell us a bit about your experience in Campania Pompeii.
God, it was so hot that day. Oh my God. It was like, what, 95 degrees that day?
What time of the year did you go? End of September?
It was like, yeah, that was September.
Yeah, so it is pretty warm in Rome and Italy in general at this time of year.
But it's gorgeous.
It was so beautiful.
We have a question over here.
Are you pretty free to kind of just travel around on the weekends and stuff too, or is it pretty restricted just over the weekends and weekdays?
Some weekends will have scheduled excursions like this, so there's 4 at least that will have activities scheduled. The rest is up to you, as you have free time, you're free to travel.
Pompey was super cool.
We had a guided tour. It was very informative. Like we learned a lot of the history. Like I had no idea about like most of the history in Pompeii. And then also we went to, we went to Naples?
Yep.
Naples and Positano that weekend. So like different areas of Italy. It was just like so beautiful and like learning all about the history of like Pompeii, which like everybody's heard about Pompeii, but I feel like not a lot of people know like all the nitty gritty stuff. Like that was a pretty big, well, was it a pretty big city like at the time? And then like everybody was like gone. So definitely really.
The ruins are still pretty intact, which
Yeah.
was really, really cool.
Yeah.
So you get to walk around pretty much everywhere.
Lots to see.
All right, in addition to that, you'll have a trip to Florence. So tell us about Florence. Who wants to take that one?
This was probably my favorite weekend, the whole trip. It was literally, Florence is like very similar to Rome, but it's like smaller. So that was really fun. Like you can get to places a lot faster. Well, you have to walk everywhere. There's not a lot of public transportation, or at least we didn't take it when we were there. We had the Duomo, all these beautiful like sites. It's in Tuscany, so like, but also very similar, like different food, which is interesting because like going to different cities, you have different foods that are like this biggest things. So yeah.
But Florence was easily, one of my favorite cities. We went to the Uffizi Gallery, which was awesome. So a lot of super cool pieces of art. I could go on and on about that, but
Right, this was a day trip that you had last year. So this location changes all the time, but tell us a bit about this day trip that you had.
we saw Harry Styles' house.
Yeah, Civita di Bonareggio, is literally like on top of the hill. It's literally the most, honestly, the prettiest thing I've ever seen in Loki. Like you're just like in the middle of the countryside, and then we just took a bridge and it's like at the top of the world. Harry Styles does have a house there. So if you like Harry Styles, like the Lord, so that was super fun. Like it was just like a really cute, like quaint little town. Only like 7 people live there year round, so it's very touristy but really fun. And then Bonmazzo is these stone monsters. It's just like a garden with all these sculptures, which is really cool and stuff.
So this year's cohort, instead of going to those 2 locations, they went to Capalbio and Tarot Gardens. And so here are some photos from their day trip to this, on this excursion. So they got to see some of these really whimsical art installations in the Tarot Gardens, and then they did a bit of a wine tour, as well. So, one excursion day trip that's exclusive to St. Ben's and St. John's is to Subiaco, and that is because
that's where Saint Benedict's original first monastery was, where he wrote the rule of Saint Benedict in a cave that's behind this monastery. So cool. You guys want to add to it too, but this was like so surreal because like obviously you're at St. Ben's and St. John's, that is started because of Saint Benedict. And this is like the reason that this school is possible because of you starting it. This is in the Italian countryside as well, like up in the mountains. Like it's literally on the edge of a mountain. It's so cool because you can look across and see the whole world. Basically, it feels like very beautiful, so surreal, like such good history and art and culture and everything there too.
There was a rock inside as well, that had these 2 indentations. Do you remember that? And we were like, why does that rock have 2 weird like indentations? She was like, oh, it's because Saint Benedict kneeled there so much that his knees created this like indentation in the rock. So we all took turns kneeling exactly where Saint Benedict knelt. So that was super cool. Do you guys have anything?
They do a guided tour, so you have a tour guide to tell you all the history, and all the fun facts at St. Benedict's and what was the one on lower and
Saint Scholastica.
yes, St. Scholastica. So it's 2, you're seeing 2 different areas, which was really unique.
And there are also other activities included in your program fees, such as a pasta making class. As you can see, students who were there this fall, got to try their hand at making pasta. They also went to an AS Roma game, so they got to see some soccer while they were there. They were testing lots of gelato as well, as it is pretty warm when you arrive in August, so a nice gelato does good things. All right, so I'm gonna call on our alum to choose their top 3 reasons why you should go to Rome.
Oh, that's my picture. Let's start. Okay, for me, number one, I'm a theology major, I really wanted to see the Vatican, as they can vouch, I went to those at the Vatican like every night. So if you like the church and like, that's important to you, that's a really great reason. I also am Italian, so I love like Italian food before going there, but now I love it even more, like gelato is the best thing that was ever created. And I also just like wanted to know more about the history, like I've always dreamed about going to Italy, like seeing pictures on Pinterest, it looks so beautiful, and like influencers and stuff online, like it just seemed like the right place the whole time for me.
Okay, my number one was for the art history, because I'm an art major, so there were pieces of art I've wanted to see my entire life at different galleries in Rome, and I got to see all of those in person, which was super cool. Number two, family history. It was really kind of surreal to go and see like the actual town where my like great grandparents are from. There was like a gate named after us, so that was kind of cool. And then third, yeah, food, probably Italian food's my favorite.
My first would be being able to get off the metro at a random stop and just like going to explore, because Rome has so many places. Like at the end of our trip, I would get off the metro and had never seen the place before, and so there's countless things to do. And I also, my second reason is that the aspect of like you can go into the busy part of the city, or you can also more so go like to a calmer area, like to the markets. I loved going to the markets. And third, it's just like a very there's just so much to do, and like having opportunities to do like an array of like art, history, food, like culture, literally everything is right there, I think.
I would say the people are probably my number one. Just like the community that we even lived in and the other students and our professors, and like just walking down the street, I never felt like unsafe. Granted, I never traveled by myself, but I don't know, it just felt, once we were there for a while, it just felt very routine, and like the people knew who we were. My second one, I would probably say it's so culturally diverse, like even leaving Rome to go to other places in Italy is just so different from each other. It feels like you left the country, so it's really cool to kind of see like how everything compares. And 3, I would probably also say like everything to do. There's so much to do, and like Sophia was saying, like the metro only really takes you through Rome. So the fact that we could get off the metro at a random stop and not have never been there before just shows like how much there is to do and explore. Like we were never bored.
Here is then a breakdown of what your costs would look like for the semester. This is for this fall, so we would anticipate this increasing just due to normal inflation. Next year, just like your tuition increases every year, so would your program fee. So you would pay your normal tuition for the fall semester, like you do every other semester at St. Ben's and St. John's. In addition to that, you would have an education abroad program fee. So for this fall, that is $8,225. I like to explain that as sort of taking the place of your room and board that you pay on campus. So instead of paying for a meal plan and your housing here, you pay this education abroad fee, and that covers your housing, all of those excursions and activities, and your classes on site. So those two numbers combined are what your financial aid can apply to. So if you receive financial aid on campus, it would apply just like it does every other semester to both your tuition and your education abroad program fees. So if you have specific questions about how your financial aid applies, I recommend reaching out to the financial aid office, but do know that your scholarships, grants, loans, they do apply to this. The only thing that doesn't apply is if you have a student job. If you work on campus, You can't work in Italy and get paid for it, with your student visa, so that's the only thing that, would be taken out of your financial aid for the semester. Then if you look in the next section B, the estimated out-of-pocket expenses, you will have an application fee that's $300, so that is due by February 4th. If you're accepted onto the program, we keep that fee and we apply it towards your program. If you're not accepted, or if you decide not to go, we would refund you that $300. Then there is your airfare that you do need to pay out of pocket. We estimate that to be around $1,600. It really depends on the deal you find and when you book. You would need to book this airfare around April so that we could process your student visa for you. Our office processes your student visa. You don't need to do any extra traveling to go to process your visa. Other programs do. They need to go to Chicago, each student individually, to process their visa, but our office can process the Italian visa for everyone. So you don't need to factor in travel costs to process a visa, but you do need to buy your airfare to get to Italy and back. You also need a passport, so that's an expense. If you don't have one, or if you need to renew one, so that's all out of pocket. And then once prior to going, and then once you're on site, you'll have some expenses that you'll incur, such as your books and supplies, which can vary. We estimate that to be about 150. Meals, we estimate about 1,200, and that's based on what students have reported to us. Obviously, it's going to be a lot more if you're going out to eat all the time, as compared to going to a grocery store and buying food that you're cooking for yourself in your apartment. So that can fluctuate a lot based on your personal preferences too. You'll need to account for a cell phone that we require all students to have while they're abroad that works. So you'll need to look into a plan that works for you. And then students have reported that they spend about $1,400 on personal and miscellaneous costs while they're on site. If you're doing any additional travel, independent travel outside of Italy on your free weekends, students in the past have reported spending about $2,000 on that. Again, that can vary greatly depending on where you're going, how often you're traveling. There is a week-long semester break, so that's a place where your money can go very quickly, and students have said it has gone very quickly in the past, just based on all of the extravagant travel plans that they've done. So it requires budgeting and planning in advance. So it's not too early to start planning for your finances for study abroad. There are scholarships available as well. So once you submit your application in February, our office will let you know about a scholarship that we have available to all students. And the deadline to apply for that one will be in March. There's also some federally competitive, nationally competitive scholarships, such as the Gilman, which awards up to $5,000 to study abroad students. And that is available to any student who receives a Pell Grant. So if you have a Pell Grant as part of your financial aid, you can apply for this Gilman scholarship. And then our partner, CAPA, also has a scholarship application available to all students who are on their program as well. Our office has a wealth of resources on our My CSVSJU page about scholarships, and we're also happy to help you with any applications that you're preparing for scholarships. So as to try to make study abroad affordable and accessible to as many students as possible. Any questions on costs? If not, the application is due February 4th. These are the selection criteria that we're looking for. So you must have a minimum GPA of 2.5. If you're on the border, if you have like a 2.4 or something like that, that doesn't mean you can't submit your application. We might put you on a conditional acceptance. So it's not to discourage you from applying. We are looking for a minimum of 2.5, but if you're on the border, I encourage you to submit anyway. We're looking for quality of your essays and the resume that you submit. Our office also provides some study abroad application support sessions. So check out our My CSVSJU schedule to see when those are, so that you have your essays and resume polished by the time you submit. There's 2 references that you'll have to submit, one from a faculty member and one from that's a non-academic, somebody that you know could be like a work supervisor or somebody that's not a professor. That'll have to submit a reference on your behalf. If you're on disciplinary probation, your acceptance could be affected. That also goes for academic probation. So if you're on academic probation, you cannot participate on this program or any other study abroad program. If you have a history and you've already completed your probation, then there is a chance that you should still be accepted. So please don't let that keep you from submitting your application either. After you submit your application, you will have an interview with Elaine. And that will be in the weeks following February 4th. So that'll be an individual interview with the faculty director. So we're looking for your preparation there, your enthusiasm. That's a time for you to get to know one-on-one the faculty director and to demonstrate why you're excited about going to Rome. Questions on the criteria for the application? No? Okay, so as I said, start creating a financial plan for study abroad now. Figure out how you can save up or what types of scholarships you can apply for so that you are set up for success. If you haven't already, check out the global portal and create your traveler profile. You can start your application on the global portal already. We do have those study abroad application support sessions. We will also have some practice interviews in the Experience Hub with our career mentors from XPD. And so there will be, at the start of spring semester, some opportunities for you to conduct a practice interview so that you're ready to go for your real interview with Elaine. It's not a requirement, but it's encouraged just so that you can practice your interview skills before you interview with the faculty director. There's a timeline for you to review. Applications are due in February 4th at noon. You'll have an interview in the weeks following, and then we would notify you if you're accepted on Tuesday, February 18th, so that you're ready to go by registration. Yeah.
How many people usually apply for the program and what percentage of people get accepted?
Yeah, good question. I can't give exact numbers, but it is competitive. And so I do encourage you to put your best foot forward. Consider your answers in your essays, your resume, your interview, that all will be factors. There is a chance that we end up with a wait list because this program has a maximum of 30 students that we can accept. So if there is a wait list, our office will follow up with options. If you can change your application to a different program that still has space, or if somebody was accepted and then decides not to go, then the waitlist person could have a chance to join the program. But it is competitive, so make sure that you put some thought into your application. Good question. All right, other questions?
Does the Italian language class count as one of the electives?
Yes, it's a 4-credit course, so that would count as one of your electives.
Okay.
What's the weather like when you're there? Like, does it ever get kind of cold or?
I'd say it doesn't get much colder than like right now.
It just rains a lot,
Yeah.
like starting at the end of November.
So like it's down to like in the 50s.
50s, yeah.
It's like hot until like October, like hot, like you're getting like sweating outside, like tanning still until October, and then like November, December is like this. Not freezing, like you don't need a winter jacket that you wear here, maybe like a raincoat, but
Not too bad.
Other questions?
Are these slides available for us to access?
Yeah, I will send an email to everyone tomorrow with the slides attached. So if you didn't sign this sign-in sheet, make sure you do that, so I have your email. We'll also be sharing a recording of this. If you had any questions about a part that you were daydreaming through, you can go back and look at it.
What is like the class schedule? Like, do you have class like on Fridays and stuff too, or how does that work?
So typically classes are Monday through Thursday unless you are participating in the internship. I don't think anyone on our cohort did that. But typically we would have class either 2 days a week or once a week. So like our Italian classes were like Monday, Wednesday for like an hour and a half. And then I would have like my sketchbook class like on Thursdays for 3 hours. So it kind of just depends on the class you're taking. They can either be twice a week or once a week for just a longer period of time. And then, yeah, Fridays off.
Yeah, your class periods will be longer so that you can go on site and like tour a museum or something for that period of time to account for the travel time to get there and then see all of the things. You need time.
I think that was our theology class too, was a 3 hour on Tuesdays, right? Yeah, so.
Yeah. Other questions? Yep.
There's obviously a lot that goes into like prepping for a study abroad program. What was like one thing that you guys did that really helped out?
Do your research. Know about the country you're going to. I think one thing that helped a lot and that really showed my enthusiasm in my interview was I asked a lot of questions, like just about Italy in general and like money and safety, and I think that really showed that I was really interested. I don't know.
No, yeah, like ask questions. You can always email all of us if you have questions or other study abroad alums. Come to the Experience Hub, have one-on-one appointments there, like ask Elaine questions, like there's so many people. I feel like the more you're like aware, the more you know and where you can get out of it.
And just the summer before too, I worked really hard at my part-time job to make a lot of money to have as like spending money there. So budgeting is a really big thing that I learned as well. And that's one thing that you should take into consideration.
I would say just like talking to alum and like asking questions that are like specifically interesting to you and that you want more, know more about will really help you. I think like, yeah, the cohort before us were really open, which helped.
Anything else? Yes.
Do people ever like go to outside of Italy, like travel in other places of Europe and stuff?
Yeah, Sophia and I visited 8 countries. We did the math the other day when we were abroad, so we hit a lot of different places in Europe. I only went to 3 or 4 other countries outside of Italy, but also a lot inside of Italy itself,
too.
like the differences, like you were talking about earlier. The differences in like Rome to the countryside to another city to the seaside are so different too.
Italy's huge. There's a lot to see.
Well, if you do have other questions, as our alum said, you can email them afterwards. You can email Elaine. I'm available too. You can always schedule an appointment on the Hive. You can find me there in the Center for Global Education. My name is Tracy again, so happy to meet with you to answer any questions you have. And thank you all for being here today.